Deep thinkers walk through the world with an intensity that is often misunderstood. They are not simply people who think a lot, they think differently. Their minds operate like continuously expanding landscapes where every idea leads to another pathway. Every question opens a new door, and every experience is layered with hidden meanings waiting to be discovered. To truly understand them, it is necessary to explore the psychological patterns that shape their inner worlds, because their minds function on a level that blends introspection, imagination, emotional depth, and intellectual curiosity in a way that sets them apart from those who navigate life on the surface. Deep thinkers are driven by an internal need to make sense of existence. They are naturally inclined toward reflection, and this reflection is not limited to big philosophical questions. It extends to behaviors, relationships, decisions, and even the smallest interactions. They replay events in their minds not because they are anxious, but because they believe every moment holds information. A simple conversation becomes a puzzle of tone, intention, emotion, and meaning. A minor disappointment becomes an opportunity to study their own expectations. Even fleeting moments of happiness become subjects of analysis, because they want to understand the conditions that allowed that emotion to bloom. This reflective nature is closely connected to heightened inner awareness. Deep thinkers often live in two realities at once: the external world that demands their participation, and the internal world that constantly pulls them inward for examination. They experience their thoughts almost as companions, and this ongoing mental dialogue gives them a stronger sense of identity. Their minds are rarely silent, and though this can sometimes lead to mental fatigue, it also grants them a depth of understanding and emotional richness that many others do not experience. One of the most unique qualities of deep thinkers is their sensitivity to patterns. They have an instinct for detecting connections that are invisible to others. Whether analyzing a person's behavior, observing social dynamics, or contemplating long-term consequences, their minds naturally search for structure and meaning. They can pick up hidden motives behind actions, predict outcomes, and recognize shifts in energy or atmosphere long before they are obvious. This ability makes them highly intuitive, even when they are not aware of it. Because they see patterns so clearly, they also question everything. Surface-level explanations rarely satisfy them. They want to know why something happened, what caused it, what it reveals about human nature, and how it connects to a larger truth. This questioning can make them appear skeptical or distant, but in reality, it is simply how they process the world. They are not trying to challenge others, they are trying to understand. Their curiosity feeds their desire for solitude. Deep thinkers often prefer time alone because their minds are most alive when uninterrupted. Solitude is not loneliness for them. It is nourishment. It allows them to explore ideas without limitation, to recharge emotionally, and to reflect without feeling pressured to respond to external stimuli. Time alone strengthens their sense of clarity, but it can also contribute to feelings of isolation when they struggle to find people who understand the depth of their thoughts. The emotional world of a deep thinker is equally layered. They feel things intensely, not always outwardly but internally. Their emotions are woven into their thoughts, creating a blend of logic and intuition that shapes their decisions. A single experience can trigger a chain of reflections that last for days. They often revisit memories repeatedly, not because they want to hold on to the past, but because they are trying to decode its meaning. This deep emotional processing helps them grow, but it can also make them prone to overthinking, especially when they cannot find closure or clear answers. Deep thinkers tend to value authenticity. Shallow interactions drain them, and they are easily bored by conversations that stay on the surface. They crave depth, sincerity, and vulnerability in their relationships. They want to know what others truly feel, what they fear, what they dream about, and what they believe in. Because they seek this level of connection, they may appear selective about who they allow into their inner circle. They may have fewer friendships, but each one is meaningful and anchored in trust and understanding. Their minds are not only analytical but imaginative. Deep thinkers blend logic with creativity effortlessly. They visualize what others cannot see. They imagine possibilities, potential futures, alternate perspectives, and unseen layers of reality. This imaginative capacity gives them unique problem-solving abilities, allowing them to think outside conventional frameworks. They often excel in fields that value innovation, analysis, and creativity, such as writing, research, strategy, philosophy, art, psychology, and design. However, this same ability can make life challenging. Their minds rarely rest, and they often experience mental exhaustion from the constant stream of thoughts and reflections. They may struggle to make decisions because they analyze every possible outcome. They may also internalize stress deeply because they are not only processing the event itself, but also the emotional implications surrounding it. Another key psychological trait of deep thinkers is their tendency to view life from a long-term perspective. While others focus on immediate gratification, deep thinkers consider future consequences. They ask themselves how their actions will influence their future selves, how a relationship might evolve over time, or how a decision aligns with their personal philosophy. This long-term mindset often makes them wise beyond their years, but it can also create tension when others prefer short-term solutions or impulsive choices. Their inner world is often shaped by an analytical approach to identity. Instead of assuming they know themselves, deep thinkers continually study their shifting thoughts, beliefs, and motivations. They evaluate their emotional responses, fears, desires, and weaknesses with honesty. This self-analysis makes them highly self-aware, but it can also lead to moments of internal conflict when they feel they are not living in harmony with their values. They are constantly adjusting, refining, and striving for personal alignment. Deep thinkers are typically drawn to silence not because they dislike noise, but because silence allows them to hear themselves. They appreciate depth in every form. Deep conversations, deep relationships, deep art, deep music, and deep purpose. They seek meaning in their careers, their relationships, and their lifestyle choices. Many of them struggle in environments that are superficial or chaotic because such environments clash with the way their minds function. Their introspective nature also makes them compassionate observers. They often understand others even when others fail to understand them. They can sense emotions beneath the surface, detect subtle changes in mood, and empathize with unspoken struggles. This emotional intelligence allows them to support others deeply, though it can sometimes leave them feeling emotionally drained when they absorb more than they should. Deep thinkers experience the world with a heightened awareness of time, existence, and mortality. They often contemplate purpose, identity, and the nature of human experience. These philosophical reflections give them a broader perspective on life, making them more resilient during difficult times. They can step back and view situations from a higher vantage point, which helps them remain grounded. However, this also exposes them to existential anxiety when their reflections lead to unsettling questions about meaning and uncertainty. The thinking patterns of deep thinkers extend into their creativity. They are the type of people who write stories filled with complexity, create art that feels alive, or develop theories that challenge conventional understanding. Their creativity is not spontaneous but rooted in long periods of reflection. They examine ideas from multiple angles until they uncover something original. This is why many of history's greatest thinkers, writers, and innovators had deeply introspective minds. Relationships with deep thinkers require patience and understanding. They are slow to open up, not because they lack emotion but because they feel too much. They want to be understood without having to shrink themselves. They want to share their inner world with someone who will not fear its intensity. When they finally connect with someone who matches their depth, their loyalty becomes unwavering and their love becomes profound. Deep thinkers often struggle with the fast-paced nature of modern life. The world encourages speed, productivity, and simplicity, while they thrive on slowness, reflection, and complexity. They sometimes feel out of place because society rarely rewards depth. Yet their presence is vital because they remind the world to pause, question, imagine, and understand. Their thought processes are shaped by an internal drive to grow. They see challenges as opportunities for transformation. They approach emotional pain not with avoidance but with investigation, seeking to understand the root cause and the lessons it holds. This resilience makes them powerful healers of themselves and others. What makes deep thinkers truly unique is the authenticity with which they navigate life. They refuse to live on autopilot. They question norms, challenge assumptions, and live intentionally. Their lives may not always be simple, but they are rich in meaning. They are the type of people who can sit in silence and feel alive, who can analyze a single moment and uncover a universe, who can love with intensity and reflect with depth, and who can transform ordinary thoughts into profound insights. Their psychological world is both a sanctuary and a battlefield. It is a place of endless discovery, constant questioning, emotional richness, and unfiltered introspection. To understand a deep thinker is to understand the beauty of complexity, the courage of vulnerability, and the power of thought. They remind us that there is magic in the unseen, wisdom in reflection, and strength in the quiet corners of the mind. In the end, deep thinkers live as explorers of the human experience. Their minds are oceans with uncharted territories. Their thoughts move like waves, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, always in motion. They do not seek to escape life but to understand it fully. Their depth is not a burden but a gift, and through it, they bring clarity, creativity, empathy, and meaning to the world around them.